Hi guys, welcome back to the Camp Out. Super excited today. 10% of all sales goes straight back to the Salvation Army. And we're here, we're going back across the Allegheny once more time to talk about all the great things in Butler County, including agriculture and commerce. And again, guys, thanks so much for joining us. Just appreciate it. Jordan, I think, were you a perfect attendance? Have you been to every one?
Since you opened your Saxonburg store, absolutely.
So, yeah. Perfect attendance.
Would miss it. I love the Sprinkle family.
Oh, appreciate it. Thanks for the post, by the way, last Sunday.
Oh, yeah, no problem.
That was awesome. So let's start a little bit. We just got through 4-H season, and, it's the young farmers. Abigail is with us today to talk about 4-H. First off, what is 4-H for the people that don't understand this amazing experience called, 4-H? And then I love the charity auction. I get a little wild up there.
4-H is a program where you kind of just... You can do a bunch of different projects, but for me, it's all with the livestock. And you continue with a project for a whole year, and you have an animal, and you raise it. And then towards the end of show season, you go, you do your best at showing, and no matter what you get, by the end of the week, you go out to the auction ring, and you just stand up in front of these people, and you give them your best smile, and you just try hard to sell your animal. And it's all about raising the animal, building a bond with it, trying your hardest in the show ring, and getting out there and talking to people. That is so big in 4-H. You got to talk to people or you're not going to do anything with it.
Well, and it starts early. I mean, you guys write letters. You go around to local businesses, people that have bought in the past. It's funny, every year, my folder, so I start collecting it, and then I have this whole basically Excel spreadsheet of who gave me a letter, what was it about, and I read the letter, and I put it all together when I started for the bid thing. But it's a big process. You have to go out there and talk to business owners and write them letters and engage them with the brand.
Quick life hack for you, Abigail. That is the key to pretty much everything you're going to do in your life. If you just take that last statement that you just made and you just say to yourself when you're doing anything in life, boom. Good things are going to happen. That's magic that you know. How old are you?
13.
Just turned 13.
Man, I was what am I, 45? I think I was 44 and a half when I finished that.
So some of the things that, so for then we get to the charity auction night, my experience has always been I get there and my buddy Phil Kelly, tells me about all the families and who's connected to who. And for the people who don't know, it's actually it's a pretty, for a business owner, it's a big decision because whoever you buy, you're not sure how the connection is. Because again, agricultural community is it's like the business community. It's tightly woven, and it's, for me, it was cool because when I came to Saxonburg, I had no clue about this whole process. I was oblivious. Ryan always went to Katanning and Dayton, so I didn't really have to worry about it. Then all of a sudden I got all these letters, and I call Phil, Phil, what are these? He's like, dude, you gotta go. And so now I have my spot, everybody knows it's my spot, so I sit there right by that one pillar. But you had this letter, and I went out and I bought this lamb, and Dad and I love lamb chops, so it was thing, but I almost wanted to keep the animal, which you're not allowed to do. I want to take it home with me and put it in the yard. And you're not allowed to do that, right? Because that's part of the process.
So you can do it. So with ewes, which is a female lamb, you can technically keep them. Or if your lamb is donated back to charity, the owner of the lamb can go to the butcher that the animal was sent to, and you can go pick it up and you can show it for more seasons. But a lot of people don't do that because you can just buy more animals and you can show them and have bigger opportunities. And if your lamb gets a higher place in the show, you shouldn't keep it, because if you keep it for too much longer, it'll get too fat and it won't do really good in other shows.
And I'm not sure if that's the case with every breed, because I don't think you can do that with pigs. I think pigs have to. It's my understanding, not that I'm an expert, but it's my understanding they have to be butchered.
Ryan he bought some goat or something. He was so bummed out.
Well, yeah, I bought a goat a couple of years ago, and I found out that I couldn't keep it. And I was like, man, I really wanted that goat. To be honest with you, I think my wife was ecstatic when the ruling came down. I think she was ecstatic, you know. But I gotta tell you, it's funny you said about the options, because I had somebody do some scouting for me for this last auction because I didn't have a chance to go through it. And surprisingly, for some reason, nobody came to me that about. Usually, I get a stack of options to go and look for. I didn't have a stack of options, so I had somebody kind of scouting and giving me the rundown on people. And they had beside this one animal, I forget which animal it was, but they had a note that said, "Stay away, she'll try to get it back." And I'm like, wait. I was reading this tag. I was looking at this picture, and I called my contact. I said, "Hey, I need a little clarification on this situation." I said, "What do you mean she wants it back?" And she's like, "Well, you're gonna have to give it back to her. She's gonna ask for it back." And I said, "Wait a minute, I'm buying the animal." She said, "Yeah, but she's gonna want it back. She's under review right now for trying to get her animal back because she'd get it back and then go sell it in other places." I'll leave you to think about that.
It's a lot. It's a lot. No, and then this year the guys brought back the turkeys, and the here's I was talking about the turkeys before the show, but these turkeys, Jordan, they went from like, I'm thinking maybe $1,000, right? Because that's like a meat pen grand champion, and all of a sudden both of the feed store people started bidding against each other. It went to $5,000. $5,500.
Yeah, 5,000.
$5,000.
You know, I definitely believe that. So my first time attending that auction, I had like a $500 allotment from the chamber, and I had like a $500 allotment from the AM Rotary Club. And they're looking around at the Rotary meeting, and they see me, and they're like, "Oh, well, he's the chamber president. He'll have to do this." And when they asked me, I was like, "This is perfect because I got some budget from the chamber too." And then I watched right away, like $1,000, you know, and I forget what we ended up getting, but I'm like, how am I going to tell the Rotary Club about this? It's incredible. You know, the auction itself, but what's the best part about me, and, you know, we certainly don't bid anymore, but just to go. And when you see a young person come out and they're so proud of their accomplishments, and they sell their animal, and if they get it back, they can do another show. And it's like the gratification. And it's just really awesome to see young people who want to be involved in agriculture, and then that's like the trophy at the end. It's just to see you can see it in their face, and then when they're with their buyer, it really is great. And then I got to learn a little bit about Abigail last night, talking to her and her mother, and the process of how she does it. And you were comparing, you know, some of the things that you did, hand delivering the letters. You mentioned the cookies. And I'm sitting there, and I just found out you're 13, but obviously still very young. I'm sitting there thinking to myself, I didn't develop that type of mentality until I got the chamber job when I was, 27 or whatever. I'm like, that is incredible. You give me hope in the next generation. I think it's really awesome.
I need to put a plug in for this young lady and for all of our ambassadors. So today, even though I'm happy that she can talk to you about 4-H, she came with us with her ambassador hat on. She is with the first group of the Butler County Junior Farm Bureau's ambassadors. So we have 3 ambassadors now, of which Abigail is our youngest. We have Sam Wallerman, who is also a 4-H'er. He would have had chickens, and he also had an apple pie that he did very well with. And then we have Drew Wiffenbaugh. And Drew is not a 4-H'er, but he's a hunter. He's involved with the YMCA, and he does youth and government with the YMCA. And he's they're all great kids. I mean, phenomenal kids. We couldn't have handpicked them if we wanted to better than what we got. Abigail, being the youngest, is way ahead of so many. She's fantastic. She's sweet. She's humble. She's just a good-hearted girl with a lot of great knowledge, and she shares it. So she has all the skills to be a fabulous ambassador. So I can't tell you how proud that she was able to make it with her mom. Took her out of school so she could be here with us today, and we're just thrilled to death with her. She's a little nervous, but I don't know why, because she's awesome.
She's nailing it. If anybody should be nervous, it's me. But let me ask you this question. So you said about the pie. Another observance. I pick up on weird things out of the Dayton Fair and Dayton Livestock. One of the biggest, highest selling items that went was a cheese basket. the cheese basket went for $6,500. And
Gotta
I'm
have
like,
You got a buyer there who's really just supporting that 4-H'er.
Okay,
that's
what I
what
thought.
the idea is. You know, when they get prices like that, they want to support that kid.
yeah.
They want that kid to succeed. And a lot of these kids, a lot of them put that into their college funds, or, you know, buying their next animal also, but their college fund and going for the next year. So they're really just supporting those kids. You know, when you see those prices going like that, they want to support that kid. And so 4-H in general.
And to the same point, I mean, I'm the whole culture fascinates me because, like, you know where you are in the world based on how you're bidding at the 4-H auction, and like, I wanted to buy the one thing, and the guy, and then Phil taps me on the shoulder. He's like, "Dude, that guy owns a mine." I'm like, "What?" He's like, "He personally owns a mine. You're not gonna beat him." I'm like, "All right, I'm out." Like, and to the same point, like a couple years ago when the chickens were going like super cheap, I was mad about it. So now, if you haven't noticed, I bid all the chickens up to $1,000. And I'm like, I did the math. I'm like, you know what? If I get stuck with one or two, who cares? But literally, I bid them all up to $1,000. And because now, like, I guess the way they do the scoring, or whatever, they push them the whole way back to the end. And so a lot of those kids, you have to get by 4 pages of pigs before you even think about a chicken. And so a lot of them, all the buyers are gone. So I always try to you know, needle the end there. But no, it's just a great experience. So before we talk about business, beyond, you know, the 4-H program, there's so much more that's going on agriculturally in the county, and we want to hear about it. Like, I mean, Butler County is on fire when it comes to agriculture.
We're very fortunate in Butler County. I just think the people in general, whether it be Rotary, whether it be a chamber, whether it be any volunteer organization, because I'm on the Experience Butler County board for the agritourism. And what I've learned in the past year or so is that Butler County people care, and Butler County people will work for their community. And it's no different in the farming community, but because we excel in Farm Bureau. We go to our annual meeting, we have higher memberships, we have, you know, we've checked all the boxes, you know, we get awards from time to time. But I think it's just the people of Butler County. They support each other, they push hard, they care about their community, they're not afraid to give back. And I can't just say it's just the farming community, I think it's across the board. That's my experience anyhow.
Anything to add?
So I live in Lawrence County, and we do a lot of ag line spreading for the fields and stuff like that. We do most of our business in Butler County. So that's why we belong to Butler County Farm Bureau. We support the farmers who support us. So absolutely, I agree with everything that Linda says, is that Butler County is just different kind of people.
Let's get you to Butler County.
Yeah.
We need to shift the borders so that we can...
Yeah, farmland's hard to do. Carrie Thompson of Thompson Farms in Volan has been such an incredible asset to Butler County Farm Bureau. I mean, the brainstorming that her and I do, we should live next to each other because we spend so much time together. But this program was a lot to do with Carrie, and she's also looking to bring into Butler County, she's working on grants to bring in an early childhood education ag lab. So we have ag labs out of Pennsylvania Farm Bureau that we can get into the schools at the higher levels. But Carrie is looking to do her own because she's in early childhood education. And she just brings so much more to the table at that level. And she has degrees. I didn't go to college. She has all the college degrees. So I always look to Carrie. She does a fantastic job. And I tell you what, these kids, they lit fire under us all. We got to keep moving now.
It sounds like you have a lot going on. I mean, I know, you know, obviously we work with you guys, and there's just always stuff going on. But I mean, it's cool to see everybody just a little bit extra, adding together. And we had Saxburg on before this, and I mean, literally it was the whole room. And there was so much going on in a town of 1,400 people. And that's just one story out of the entire Butler County. And, you know, we were about to hear about businesses. I mean, you guys are on, I mean, there's like not enough places to build stuff now. Like, it's crazy.
Well, we are looking to take a bus trip, so we'd love you all to join us next fall to Wisconsin. And part of the reason is Wisconsin is very much like Butler County in Pennsylvania, as far as agriculture goes. And Carrie's husband, John, used to work in ag, she's an ag educator in Wisconsin. So he has all the contacts out there. And the farm bureaus out there can't wait to hear what we're doing so we can hear what they're doing. But they also have, what's the name of that?
Farm Wisconsin Discovery Center. So it is a museum of types where you can go, and it's very interactive, and it's all about farming in Wisconsin. Huge building. I think there's like 2 floors. They have a birthing center, and we visited it, and it's just, kids will enjoy it, adults will enjoy it. You're picking up the little tabs going, oh, I didn't know that they grew that many tomatoes or cranberries or whatever it is, and it gives you all the stats for Wisconsin. And we thoroughly enjoyed what Wisconsin was doing and think that Pennsylvania can do the same thing.
We'd like to be in Butler County.
Yes, absolutely.
You know, because it does bring tourism into the county. It educates the community on what agriculture is in the state of Pennsylvania. And talking about things on the news, I heard somebody saying, and it was probably a politician, I was in the other room, but I heard her say, we have so many counties in Pennsylvania that are rural. We need more data centers. I'm like, how about food?
Yeah.
How about food? If we put data centers on all this land, where's our food coming from? And see, we get so caught up in the big dollars, but what's big dollars if we don't have food? If we can't eat, if we don't have sustenance, if we're not taking care of ourselves that way. So it gets frustrating, but there's all kinds of battles to fight, but we have the team to do it. And we're trying really hard. And Ask the Farmer is something we want to talk to Doug about because we have a new program called Ask the Farmer where we want to get out to different venues and give people the opportunity to ask a farmer, whether it be a beef farmer, a dairy farmer, a chicken farmer, or, whatever. We want to put a lamb farmer. This would be our lamb farmer. Carrie does hair sheep, in case you don't know the difference. You'll have to ask Carrie. But those are questions, and we would love to go to grocery stores, where people are at. Sit in your dairy aisle and let a dairy farmer answer some of the questions about dairy.
We can arrange that.
We would love to arrange that with you.
Whatever you want to do, I mean, we're ready.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We'll be in touch.
Okay. I know a guy.
And could you guys mention your shop local? Because that's gotten pretty big. I was just talking to your husband about it last night with the distribution. I know we just got one recently in the mail. It's awesome, the shop local guide.
Well, we have a directory which goes out to our members. That's the bigger, thicker book that has business cards. So you become a member of Butler County Farm Bureau for $95. If you're not an event, it's $90. You get $5 off. And then you get a business card in our directory, which goes out to all of our members, which we are right around 900 members. And then in addition to that, we have our Buy Local flyer, which is just a listing of all the members' businesses in Butler County. Now we're looking to work with Experience Butler County to improve that. It's such a great asset, and the people who have worked on it, Evelyn Mintier and Jeannie from Ace Brothers Printing, they were the founders. They really did a lot to put it together, but it's evolving, and we have more pages every time we go to print, and we print 15,000 a year, and we pass them out at Sprankles and other businesses, and they've gotten very popular. And they're just an inexpensive advertising for our local businesses. And we try to get out when we can to do social media, and which we need to learn more about, and we need people better at it than Carrie and I. That's not our expertise. Every time we go somewhere, we're like, oh, we should have taken pictures. We should have had a video. But we're terrible at that because we're so involved in the moment. So we're trying to enlist somebody who's better at that than we are. But that's another piece of what we do. We really want to promote our local businesses. We want to promote buying local and knowing your farmers and knowing your business owners and working locally and keeping the money local.
Again, I'm so glad that we had both you guys here today because, again, I think that the strong agricultural presence in Butler County plays into this strong work ethic and the businesses that are in Butler County. And, we see a lot of synergy. It's funny, Ron and I have this corporate word on our podcast every week, and so I've become master at the boardroom conversations. So, but I mean, again, all jokes aside, it's the synergy. Jordan, what's going on? I mean, I feel like every time I open the paper now in Butler County, there's some kind of crazy like Wegmans coming in. I mean, you guys have so much going on. Like, how do you keep track of it all?
I've got great people around me who kind of do that. Thank goodness. But yeah, it's definitely a happening county. We're the only county really west of Harrisburg that has both a steady increasing population, but also a steady increasing GDP. And when you look at some of our key industries in the county, obviously agriculture is one of them. The tourism industry, which is very broad, is also a very big part, but then manufacturing and healthcare. And I know there was some articles that were kind of flying around about statistics of manufacturing in Butler County. I think it was maybe quoted like we have the most manufacturers of any county in Pennsylvania, and it's kind of true. We have the most manufacturers per 10,000 residents. So it's very concentrated, it's very dense, which also explains why we always have a lower unemployment rate than our region. I think they do it by not only region, but then also city of Pittsburgh, and then there's a state metric, and that would explain why we have such a low unemployment rate. Manufacturing is booming here. We're definitely seeing an uptick in demand, especially in defense manufacturers, which is great. And then obviously in the southern part of the county where you have that robust transportation infrastructure, 79, 76, close proximity to Allegheny County and the city of Pittsburgh, you really are seeing, there's a new term for it. Oh my goodness, I was just reading about it today. It's no longer a suburban area of Pittsburgh. It's they call it a closet city. I was just reading it maybe a bedrooms. Yeah. And we're definitely seeing that. You're seeing some of that in Sarver too, with the close proximity to 28. And right now Butler County is the number one choice for people to live, for sure. And there's a lot that goes into that. Obviously, jobs is important, but you look at the school districts. We have great school districts here. Obviously, in the southern part, you have Seneca, you have Mars, and I guess you consider Knox to be kind of the south part of the county as well. And then when you come north, Butler's a big school district, a great school district. Slippery Rock is geographically huge. And then as you get into the more rural areas, Montauk, the education system is the number one thing that most people look at when they decide to either live here or expand their business or move their business. It's very important. And we've got when you look at other counties, probably not just in Pennsylvania, maybe everywhere, everyone, you ever open a puzzle for the first time, right? And you dump all the pieces out and they're all scattered and you got to sort them out and all that. And what I think we're doing a lot better in Butler County is we opened our puzzle box, we dumped it out on the table, and not only have we sorted our pieces, we've begun to put them in place to get that end result picture, the beautiful fall scenery over the lake. And that's didn't just happen by chance. It's the result of concentrated and intentional efforts to collaborate, work together. One of the big things that the county has really put an emphasis on is at one point everyone was in their silos, right? Chamber's doing this, Torm was doing this, Housing Authority doing this. And one of the things that we've been working on relentlessly for as long as I've been here, which is 6.5, almost 7 years, is, we get together regularly. We meet once a month, called the Butler County Growth Collaborative, and we have really eliminated any of the duplicated efforts. And we're all staying in our lane, and all lanes lead to the same place. And as long as everyone's driving in the same direction, or rowing the boat in the same direction, it works. And Butler County is really a success story for the rest of the Commonwealth to prove that it works. Communication is huge with that component, and we work well with a lot of people, and we're very proud of our Farm Bureau. It's amazing what they do, especially when you consider this is a volunteer.
We want to take a lesson from you on that as far as agriculture goes, because we keep saying we don't need to do the same things. We all need to find our lane that we're best at and just work towards it as a whole, because you've got different commodities doing different things, different agriculture industries doing things. So we could take a lesson from you and how you did that so that we can do a better job of that as well.
Yeah, and one of the most important components of all of this is, you can't really care who gets the credit, because the end result is the main goal. And if we get to the end result all benefit. We all get the credit. And, you know, a younger version of me, especially when I was coming into these meetings at the first time, you know, I was going in there kind of guns blazing, like, I don't understand why I'm doing this. It's, you know, it's 2 hours out of my month, blah, blah, blah. And, you know, it really had to get explained to me that we're working towards that puzzle being put together, that beautiful fall picture that you put together in a puzzle, or maybe Sprinkles Plaza has a puzzle, or, you know, whatever the case might be. And if we keep our eyes on the prize, which is finishing the puzzle, and at the end we all get the gratification of looking at the masterpiece we've created. And I really do think that we've got great synergies right now. And you know, there are some things that are just in place that make Butler County, you know, a little better, you know, from quality of life, from a taxing standpoint, from school districts. And we have to double down on those, and we have to do everything else outside of the obvious to continue going in the right direction. And we're not talking about rapid growth, right? Everyone's like, oh, it's growing crazy in the southern part of the, you know, it's really not. I always tell, when people tell me that, I'm like, okay, well, how about this? Take a day trip down to Monroeville, and then, you know, call me in the morning and let me know how that went for you. And you'll see the difference between uncontrolled rapid growth and planned intentional efforts that led to that consistent growth, which benefits all of us in the long run.
And I'm real quick, Jordan. Sorry, I was distracted by your hat. I'm like a goldfish. I see something shiny, I just like Real quick, I saw Armstrong. I want to give them a shout out real quick. So we have a great, obviously, cable company, Armstrong. They're really involved in the community. They're very active. A lot of great jobs, you know, obviously in the community. So I hired a local guy, a great guy, to put a tree in my yard, right? So, I mean, for me to that doorway is this area he's working in. He digs one hole. It's 12 inches deep. Cuts the cable line to my house, right? Meanwhile, there's actually conduit right beside it. The guy would have done the job in the first place. I wouldn't be in this situation. We had a podcast due the next day. So we had to record live with the customer. So I'm freaking out. I call the guy. He's there 2 hours later, runs a new line. I mean, from a cable company, that's insane.
Yeah, I'm not surprised at all. We had a tree fall down, and it came, and it, you know, the obvious was that our power's off in our house, right? So First Energy comes out, they fix the tree, you know, we're out and about. It's on a Saturday when it happens. So, you know, we're gone all day Saturday, right? We're trying to get to many places as we can. And when we're back, the power's back on, right? And then we're trying to load Netflix or whatever, and it's like spinning, and we're like, I wonder if we accidentally destroyed our fiber into our house too. Well, we did. And the next Sunday we were at a bowling event, and we run into some Armstrong people, and we're like, hey, we think a tree ripped our fiber. Before we even got back from the bowling event on Sunday, they had came out and repaired it. Armstrong is a huge advantage for our county that they're located here. You know, obviously there was a lot of federal funding and some state funding for broadband expansions. Armstrong did a great job of filling some of the rural gaps we have. And we are so blessed to have a broadband company like that calls this place home. And it's created advantages for us. You know, the end goal for Armstrong too is to have 100% connectivity to high-speed fiber optic internet. And if they achieve this, and I believe they will, that's going to be an unbelievable advantage for us, especially in rural areas that are in geographical, you know, locations that aren't necessarily close to major highway infrastructure. And Armstrong's just another piece of our puzzle. And they fit in perfectly, and we make it work. And I think anyone that's in Butler County right now should really be optimistic about where we are, but where we're going.
Let me ask you this question. You know, Butler County obviously is on fire, and there's so many positive things going. I mean, I'm now a Butler County resident. I mean, I've crossed the river and become a resident in the last year and a half.
Invite only.
Yeah, invite only. Yeah, it was an invite. And my question is, like, with all this good stuff happening, like, for you, I mean, let's face it, we all have challenges. What are the challenges that you think are either like a product of this rapid growth, or just challenges that are in the way of even more rapid growth of the county?
Yeah, I think you know, definitely one of the challenges that's going to continue to grow and really demand is definitely going to be the upkeep of infrastructure. You know, water, sewer, roads. You know, the things that we all use every day that we almost take for granted in a sense. That requires major forward-thinking planning to stay up with that upkeep, especially when you talk about how are we going to foot a bill to replace a water main, whatever the case might be. That's definitely one of the challenges. And then there's a lot of things that are kind of out of our control. The overall macro economy is one of them, right? That obviously plays into it, how it goes one way or another. And then also when you have population growth like we do, there's definitely some other associated challenges with that. And of course, our quality of life, which is really solid, but what plays into that quality of life component that would be a challenge would definitely be our tax structure and any future changes that could really eliminate a competitive advantage for us. Those are some of the ones off the top of my head. I have no reason to believe that the folks that are kind of in charge of rolling out infrastructure investments, whether that be a private company or, the public sector or government or even the county government, I can tell you, like, they are on this. And, sometimes I'm CC'd on emails and this email has all this information or it has a data spreadsheet attached. And I click on it and I spend 5 seconds on it. I'm like, man, my head hurts so bad. Thank God someone's looking at that. The county who communicates with the municipalities really has put an emphasis on infrastructure investment is very important. And you can't wait for a problem to occur before you address it. You have to think 5, 10, or in Cranberry Township's case, they're thinking 30 years out in terms of planning. And that makes a difference. I think infrastructure is probably the biggest challenge because of the price tag. The economy is what it is, right? It's going to ebb and flow with a lot of things that's out of all of our control. So we kind of got to roll with those punches. But preserving our quality of life and keeping our tax structure competitive and the infrastructure component, those are all things that are within our control. Now, we need help on some of those things to accomplish them, but I think we should focus on those, not necessarily worry so much about the macro economy, but we can have some impact on the macro economy by doing microeconomic things like our Farm Bureau supporting local business. Keeping that dollar local and the impact of $1 spent at Sprinkles versus $1 spent at giant corporation XYZ and what it does. I was at a conference in July, and one of the things that completely resonated with me that I actually remembered leaving. We've all been to conferences, right? You go there and you remember 3 things. One of the things I remembered at this conference in July was it was on a small business development for Main Street, right? And that doesn't mean just it means small business, but they use the term Main Street. And this was an example out of Erie, and the programming and things that they built out, and they went through the whole gamut. The session was an hour and a half. They spent an hour and 15 minutes on what all they do, and then in the last 5 minutes, they said our goal is to take 3% of what would have been spent out of town or with a giant corporation. If we can redirect 3% of that spend locally, it has a profound domino economic impact on it. And I'm like, wow, when you put it like that, you build out the programs. Is that the metric? There's no real way to measure it, but in their eyes, that's the goal. To take 3% that would have been spent out of the county and make sure it's spent in the county. And I'm like, that should be our goal for everything. If we can just get 3%, that's not 3% is nothing. But that's what it takes to keep the buck circulating locally. And then, if you keep the dollars here, they're recycled.
I always agree with keeping the dollars here, but there's a double-edged sword to infrastructure growth for farming. Once you get septic and water, developers come. So protecting farmland, it's a double-edged sword. And yes, we have farmland preservation, but if we don't have farmers for that land, that's another double-edged sword. So there's challenges that we all need to take into consideration if we like our communities rural. And many of us still do want the rural communities, nearby. Not fully, but we want them too. So there's just a lot of challenges that are good for one and not good for the other, and we just have to figure out how to make that balance where we don't have the pressure of the developers.
quick question for you, Jordan. You go all throughout the county, and you every nook and cranny. You know people in every nook and cranny. In your mind, I mean, for the longest time, it was like, this was way back. Cranberry was like the hidden gem, the next big thing. Then, you had some Zealy talk eventually, then Harmony talk, and then, there's some Slippery Rock mentioned here and there. All these places that kind of no one really knew about, and then all of a sudden everybody knew about, and everybody wanted to be. Like, in your mind, what is like, is there like a place that you're like, man, I can't believe that hasn't blown up yet? And then the second part of that question is, what do you think in the whole county is like the hidden gem, whether it be an event, whether it be a business, whether it be just something that you can't believe hasn't like caught fire yet?
That's a good question. Obviously Cranberry has done a good job, and now you're starting to see Adams kind of get built out. Jackson Township is basically like everything except for like the main street and a block off in Zealy and Opal. It's seen definitely steady population increase. I think Slippery Rock has a lot of potential for a variety of reasons. There's some like staple employers up there. Obviously SRU is the obvious, but the mines and Allegheny Mineral Corp and some of those other large industrial employers out there. And then they have close proximity to Interstate 79 and even Interstate 80. I do think that over time you're gonna see a growth trend kind of shift. I would say that Slippery Rock is probably most prime to be a benefit of that if it does come north like that. I think there's a lot of potential there, and goes back to Armstrong. They just laid how many miles of fiber optic high-speed broadband in those areas, Montauk School District, I think Slippery Rock School District. So now you're starting to get that connectivity piece down. So that would probably be the one that I would say that, not that it isn't doing well now, it is, but I think that I thought we would have saw a little bit more steady growth, whether that be population or industry. And I really think they're primed if it does creep north. And the other area to watch, I think, would be the Middlesex corridor on Route 8. The main vein that gets you to Saxonburg, gets you to Water Street to visit Sprankles. You've seen, I'd say, substantial residential growth on that 8 corridor. You're starting to see some commercial plazas being built with gym, dentist, yoga studio, coffee place. There's a restaurant there that apparently has great wings. I haven't made it there yet, but I think their wing nights are on like Tuesday, just FYI. I definitely.
You're inviting us free.
Yes. I can't remember the name, but something to watch is can the county and the state secure the funds to complete 228? And has anyone driven on 228 recently? I mean, they've got 2 lanes. It really does look.
I don't
like
want it on
Route
my
19.
end of 228. Just saying. Just saying.
Well, that last component.
I can't get out my driveway now, so don't worry.
Well, that last component is through that Seven Fields area, really finishing the expansion there. And once it's complete, you have a fully integrated transportation route from Interstate 79 to Route 8, which should, attract hopefully some additional industrial development. What's going on in Adams right now is awesome. They have steady residential population growth, but now you're seeing these retail plazas like Chick-fil-A's broken ground. I think there's a Chipotle and some other things. And what would be really great to supplement those retail developments would be some employers, whether they're expanding and already here or relocating here, that bring family wages that sustain families. Jobs. People still do follow jobs. They follow school districts and they follow jobs. So to see some of those more substantial employers start to plant their roots or grow their roots here and bringing those good jobs with them, I think that's a real opportunity for our county, and I'm real excited to see how it all plays out.
Ron, you wrote that down there for our investment portfolio, right? To make sure we don't miss any of these good things. No, I appreciate it. You know what? I really can't believe you didn't say my favorite township is the number one growth potential.
Which one's that?
We're not allowed to say the name. It's like Voldemort. Just kidding.
No comment.
Well, guys, thank you so much. Again, thank you so much to the farmers. Thank you so much for the business. Thank you much for the commerce. Everything working so well together in Butler County. You know, it's a pleasure to be a part of all of it. You know, it's so cool. I mean, we came to Saxburg at a great time to be a part of all the foundational stuff and just be a supporter of it all. And to be honest with you, not only do events anymore, I'm retired, that I really thoroughly enjoy just supporting so many different things in the county and the community. So thank you so much for all you guys do.
Thank you for all you do. We appreciate very much all the support you provide.
We love the Sprinkle family.
Well, guys, thank you so much. Again, really great day today. Camp Out for Community. It's our 7th year. I should know this. I usually do the show research, but I had to work till midnight last night. It was 10:30. That makes you work late.
I've been here for 6. I've been here for 6 of the years.
It's 8. Number 8.
No, wait. I can't.
What's happening? What's happening?
It's like a 5 again.
9. But guys, thank you so much. Again, 10% of sales day goes to Salvation Army. And we can't wait, guys. It's so much more stuff happening today. We have Leechburg up next, talking about all the great events. And guys, what a great day to be part of the community. Thank you so much for the opportunity. And again, we can't do it without you. Come and see us.